Eskom says it's met with Tshwane Mayor in an attempt to recover 635 million rand owed by the city. The power utility wants the city to settle the debts so that the lights can stay on. For more on this, we are joined by the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Jordan Griffiths. Thank you so much for your time, Jordan. We do appreciate it. I think let's just start off with how the city has managed to owe Eskom over 600 million rand.
Thanks, Heidi, and good evening to you. Yeah, so I think, the nature of Eskom's communication with the city was somewhat disingenuous because the city's bill with Eskom is 635 million rand, and that is the current account. In other words, it's the January bill. Eskom's billing cycle is that they issued that bill for 635 million rand on the 17th of January, and they expect payment on the 18th of January. Now, the city's bill with Eskom was up to date by the end of December. So it's not actually historical debt. And the reason that the city met with Eskom on Tuesday was to engage them on the fact that the city does face cash flow challenges. This is no secret. The city of Tshwane has been struggling to recoup its finances since it was left with a 4 billion rand deficit over a year and a half ago by the ANC administrators. So most certainly we're committed to servicing the Eskom debts. But it is weird that they would call us out on what is the current account.
Yeah, I think the reason why they've called you out on the current account is because we do know that many municipalities default on what they owe Eskom, and this becomes a huge challenge for Eskom to keep their books in order. I just want to ask you with regards, and we are going to get the ANC regional chairperson on the show a little later on, we do understand that they are completely denying the fact that the bill of 4 billion rand was left by the ANC administration. You also mentioned earlier this week that there are government departments that actually owe the city. Could you maybe just go into further detail which departments these are and why they are not paying?
Sure, thanks, Heidi. So, yeah, a little bit more context on the Eskom debt. Eskom's debt currently is 43 billion rand across the country. So context is obviously also important. So just something for the viewers to note. Places like Mfuleni, which are also in Gauteng, owe Eskom 4 billion rand, and that goes back years. Pertaining to the 4 billion rand deficit that the city inherited from the ANC administrators, that's an accounting fact. It existed on the financial statements when the ANC administrators that were unlawfully deployed by the provincial government were removed, and it's what Mayor Williams inherited when he was first chosen into office in November 2020. Indeed, you're quite correct. The city of Tshwane also has the debtors book. And as with the capital city, we have a lot of national departments based around the city of Tshwane, which owe us tens of millions. Places like the Department of Public Works, the military, the Defense Force, because of all their bases. A number of entities and agencies as well, like the Mpumalanga Economic Growth Agency, owes the city over 100 million rand. And we supply bulk services to Madibeng municipality, which owes the city over 200 million rand. And in fact, we've had to restrict water flow to that municipality in order to manage those costs. Those are just a few, but they also include, for instance, the Department of Health and even Provincial Education Department as well, which is very difficult to manage because we can't cut off the power to hospitals or to schools. And so we have to escalate these matters via IGR processes, intergovernmental relation processes, to try and recoup this debt. And most certainly, our intention is not to pass that burden to consumers, but we are, aggressively trying to manage our cash flow in the city of Tshwane, and this is one of the things we've been doing for the last year and a half.
635 million rand is no small change. So it's a huge concern because those that reside in Tshwane are looking at this story and going, if Tshwane does not pay this money over to Eskom, does that mean our lights are going to be cut? And I want to ask you this question. Why did it have to reach a point to 635 million rand? You have these government departments owing the city. What is being done to try and get these departments to actually pay what they owe and what they are consuming?
Yeah, indeed. So again, remember, the 635 million is the current account. So it's the bill for January. So while it is a large sum of money, it is within the normal range of consumption and billing that the city would pay. And that debt is not even, well, now it's almost 15 days old, but it's not even 30 days old. So, we have a full intention to manage our relationship with Eskom. In terms of the other government departments, what do we do? So with a few of them, for instance, we've actually cut power. For some of the military bases, we cut power to some of the military bases. And within the next day, we'd received significant payments, up to 90 million rand in one case. We've cut power to ministerial homes where we can. And we've even caused, in some cases, sort of diplomatic incidents where we've had to cut power with some of the embassies that are administered by DIRCO. But, I mean, we take that very, very seriously in terms of recouping that debt. In other cases, where we're unable to cut power, what we do is we institute legal proceedings where we try and effectively seize the accounts of particular agencies or government entities, if need be, in order to recoup that debt. So we continuously, I mean, we have almost, well, we don't have almost, we have weekly meetings on revenue management and cash flow management in the city of Tshwane in order to ensure that we manage our liquidity.
Is there a risk that you cannot pay Eskom and the lights will be switched off in the broader schemes of Tshwane, so not just the departments that owe you money, because residents are looking at this going, what does this mean for my electricity bill? What's going to happen if Tshwane does not pay this over and Eskom cuts the whole of Tshwane out?
Yeah, so, I mean, we don't anticipate that happening at all. I mean, particularly because we're looking at a current account that Eskom is managing with us. I suspect that Eskom's own cash flow is incredibly restricted, which is why maybe they took this action, which was somewhat uncalled for, because we had a very fruitful engagement with them on Tuesday. And we expressed our concerns about our own liquidity challenges and how we were managing that. But most certainly, there is no indication from them that they have any intention of attempting to restrict power or cut electricity to the city, particularly because we do ensure that we service those debts. And also, fundamentally, they constitutionally are not in the space to do that and have lost similar cases where they've had to do that. So this is possibly why they are engaging in different tactics. Places that owe them, as I said, Mfuleni owes them about 4 billion, still has power, and that debt runs back almost 2 years.
Okay, Jordan, I've run out of time, but I have to squeeze in one last question. Tshwane Mayor, who is the ANC regional chairperson in Tshwane, has actually tweeted something on the 29th of Jan, and he says, 4 billion rand deficit in Tshwane is a farce. Tshwane Mayor has asked to produce evidence of 4 billion rand he claims is a deficit inherited from the ANC administration. He couldn't and was forced to withdraw his false claims in council. He withdrew. And then at the bottom, I see you laughing, but let me just finish. At the bottom it says DA blue lie. What is your response to this, given the fact that you are the chief of staff?
So, I mean, Tshwane Mayor is referred to as Tshwane the liar Mayor within his own caucus, within the ANC caucus, because he lies. The 4 billion rand deficit was on the financial statements of the city when we took office, when Mayor Williams first took office in, as I said, November 2020. It's not an exaggerated number. It's not. It's a fact. It's a fact in terms of the city's finances, and it's something that the ANC have been desperate to obfuscate over and to try and make it seem like it doesn't exist, but it existed, and it was a serious problem. It fundamentally compromised the financial management of the city, and it's not something that you turn around very quickly. And to provide more context, when the city was first placed under administration, the DA government at the time left the city with a 234 million rand surplus. And with a space of 8 months, the administrators that were deployed unlawfully turned that surplus into a 4 billion rand deficit. So this is not something that you turn around quickly, and it requires continuous management if we are to ensure the financial sustainability of the city. And it has real cost implications. It negatively affected our credit rating. So I'm curious as to how Mr. Mayor responds to that, because one of the reasons that the city was downgraded in the beginning of last year was because of its weak financial position. So this isn't a made-up number. It very much exists, and we've been trying to manage it for the last 18 months.
So just last question, did the mayor withdraw or did he not withdraw?
No, we haven't. At no point did we withdraw this statement at all. In fact, Mayor Williams has doubled down on the city's financial position. In fact, he's quite blunt and frank about it. When the budget was approved last year, May 2021, he made news for openly stating that the city was bankrupt at the time. I mean, that's what he indicated, and probably not the best, the best way to articulate the city's financial position, but it obviously was very dire at the time. So most certainly this 4 billion rand amount has not been withdrawn. It existed a year and a half ago, and it is something that we've continuously had to manage. At no point have we withdrawn it. It was captured on the financial statements. Unfortunately, Mr. Mayepa doesn't read the financial statements, and nor does he attend council meetings. In fact, Mr. Mayepa is a member of the finance committee, which in the last year, he only attended, out of the 12 meetings, he attended 3, and they meet monthly. So indeed, Mr. Mayepa is earning approximately 35,000 rand a month and barely comes to work. So he's most certainly not an authority to take at his word.
Okay, we'll actually pose all these questions that you have raised, Jordan. We are interviewing Mr. Mayepa a little later on in the show, but thank you so much for your time, and we do hope you are able to settle that bill very quickly. That was Jordan Griffiths, the Mayor of Tshwane's Chief of Staff.